for the top 25 here for week 2. Now, coming at number 25, I have Army. That's what I had last week. They beat Rice, I believe, 14-7. It wasn't a big, it wasn't a blowout win, but they won. That's all that matters. Like I said, Army is a team you don't want to verse. They run that triple option. They run the ball. You don't get the ball that many times when you're versing them, especially if you keep giving up first downs because they bleed that clock over, just on and on all game long. If you don't get a stop, you might only get the ball a couple times a game, so you got to make the most out of it. At number 24, I got Boise State. Now, Boise State was kind of on the fence for me. They were one of the teams outside looking in for the preseason. Wanted to see what they could do. I honestly thought Florida State was going to be able to beat them in the opener. But Florida State kind of fell apart at the end there. I mean, they had a really comfortable lead. I believe it was they were up by 15 points at least. And they ended up losing, I believe, 36-31 to Boise State. So Boise State, they were able to get a big win there. That kind of allowed me to say, okay, this team's kind of, they might be the real deal, We don't know how good Florida State really is still. I mean, they haven't been the best, obviously, in recent years. But Boise State able to get a big win there. At number 23, I'm staying with Washington State. They picked up a good win this past week. Nothing really that, that blew me away. It just kind of let me say, all right, you're the number 23rd best team right now. Just keep you locked there. At number 22, got Cincinnati. Cincinnati had UCLA week 1. That's a decent test. They were able to win that game. They had control over pretty much the entire game. They had the lead. Able to win that one 24-14. They got a big test coming up against The Ohio State University. They go to the shoe. See what kind of, test their luck there. See if maybe they can pull off, the first big upset of the year. Will it happen? I don't think so, but I think Cincinnati's definitely going to give the Buckeyes a good, run for their money. But Cincinnati might only lose 1 or 2 games all year. I think they can really, challenge UCF, in that conference for sure this season. Number 21, I got Iowa. I believe they beat Miami, Ohio. Miami, they're decent. Iowa able to get a decent win. I don't believe they won by too much. It was a comfortable win. Kind of similar to Washington State. Just keeping you at number 21 for now. Alrighty, at number 20, I got Oregon. Now, they took a big tumble from last week. I believe I had them at, 14 last week. I was kind of skeptical. See, the thing with Oregon, I was kind of on the fence, right? I was on the fence with Oregon. I was like, okay, how good is this team? They got Justin Herbert, big NFL quarterback, big prospect. How good is this team, though? Last year they did okay, 8-5? Is this a team that we can talk about, playoff, aspirations, winning the Pac-12 after 1 week, seeing what they did, getting tested against Auburn, kind of on a neutral site. I'm underwhelmed, and I wish I could say I was shocked, but I really am not shocked with how Oregon has been, in recent years. They had a big lead. They were up 14-3 after the first quarter. You'd think, your quarterback is your best player in your team. He's running your offense. Your defense is playing good. Your offense is doing good. Just get another touchdown. Put them away. Just keep piling on the points, and they just really weren't able to just score more points. I mean, after that first quarter, it was kind of similar, to the Ohio State game. They just kind of hit a standstill after that first quarter against Auburn. And, Justin Herbert, obviously this didn't help his draft stock. I mean, scoring 21 points against Auburn. I mean, only 7 points after you had that big 14-3 lead, and then letting Auburn come back and beat you. It's just not a good look for this Oregon team, and I think just like that, you're out of the conversation for the playoffs. I mean, to have a loss like that already, it's going to take, in a conference like the Pac-12, it's going to take a lot of work to work your way back up. At number 19, I got Stanford. Stanford, I was high on Northwestern, right? I picked Northwestern to win last week. And, the pick came back to bite me. I had a feeling it might. I wasn't really sure, what's going on with Northwestern. They had a, new quarterback. Obviously, they're still trying to, figure that one out because the Northwestern offense only scored 7 points the whole game, and it came in the fourth quarter. They lost to Stanford 7-17. I put Stanford here at 19. They gained some respect. I thought Northwestern was good, so that kind of is why I moved Stanford up so high. But I guess time will tell what happens there. I mean, Northwestern, they were swapping quarterbacks here and there. I mean, Hunter Johnson, he started out the game. I'm looking at it right now, 6 for 17, 55 yards, 2 picks. That's not cutting it, obviously. Stanford, though, good defense. They got KJ Costello, solid quarterback. He threw for 150 yards and a touchdown. They owed to get the rushing game going, and really just the Stanford defense was the story of this one, and then the Northwestern offense is unable to get anything going. So that's why I moved Stanford up. Northwestern falls out. We'll see what they can do. Pick up some big ones later if they want to work their way back in this top 25. At number 18, got Michigan State. Now, Michigan State, I think if I read it correctly, they allowed negative 770 rushing yards. That's pretty impressive, right? I mean, that's what we've come to know from this Michigan State team. That's why they won so many games last year, is because of how good their defense was, right? And how horrible their offense was. That was the story last year. I kind of just feel like it's more of the same. That's what we're seeing right now. They beat Tulsa 28-7. Gave up 7 points. Great. They only scored 28 points. Right? We need to see this Michigan State offense kind of take off if I'm going to give them some more respect. I don't see them as a threat because their offense is like, you just need to score, 20 points and you're probably going to beat Michigan State, right? It's just getting past that defense. That's the only trouble with them. But Michigan State's offense, man, they need to get it figured out sooner rather than later for their sake. So they come in at 18. Utah coming in at number 17. Utah, good win against BYU. I thought BYU, that game was going to be a little bit closer. Utah, they kind of impressed me just a little bit. Obviously, BYU, I feel like, is kind of always pretty good year in and year out. So Utah able to win that one on the road. Number 16, I got Wisconsin. I said earlier, Wisconsin impressed me against USF. It's just a solid team, right? Especially offensively. So the Wisconsin defense able to shut them out, able to put 49 on the board away from home in the opener. That's impressive for me. I think Wisconsin's a team to look out for. They got Jonathan Taylor, I think he's slowly getting more hype, but he's probably one of the most underrated players right now in all college football. Probably the best running back. He's probably going to go for another 2,000-yard season. So that's just insane. Coming at number 15, I got UCF. UCF, I don't know who they beat. They beat some nobody, right? But they beat them. They blew the socks off them. What was it, like 59-0? Brandon Wimbush coming in, transfer from Notre Dame, doing stuff, kind of what I expected him to do. I thought he was a solid quarterback at Notre Dame. I wasn't really sure, why they changed it up, but obviously, Ian Book was a little bit better. So he takes his talents to UCF, and it's working out great right there so far. So UCF kind of reminding everybody, they're still kind of a powerhouse. We'll see, obviously, what happens down the stretch. I think Cincinnati can challenge their spot, but for now they're coming in at number 15. Number 14, I got Auburn. We all know, I already went over it. Auburn, they beat Oregon, last second touchdown. That game was insane. Auburn deserves some respect now. They're moving up slowly but surely. I don't think Oregon is a top-tier team, but Oregon's definitely, I think, a top 25 team. So that's props for that for Auburn. They're at the 14 slot. Penn State, number 13. Pretty sure they blew, was it like 79-0 or something against Idaho? It's Idaho, but, Penn State, new quarterback. Pretty sure new running back, too. I mean, they're just kind of wiping and starting it new. They're looking to be, still really, really good team. Not quite elite yet, but they're really, really good, Washington coming at number 12. They had a solid opener. I forget who they played, but they won. They won convincingly. That's what we like to see from Washington. I think they're still the top of the tier for the Pac-12. They're the team to beat there. Texas A&M coming in at number 11 for me. They beat Texas State 41-7. They got a big game against Clemson. I'll go over that in a minute, but they're looking really, really solid. Texas A&M is a team I feel like can maybe make some noise, against either Clemson or Alabama. Number 10, I got Florida, right? Miami, they almost lost to Miami, but they did it. Kind of on the fence about Florida, like how I am about Oregon, or how I was about Oregon last week. We'll see what they can do, but I'm gonna sticking with them at number 10. Michigan coming at number 9, the same. They handled Middle Tennessee. I was shocked Middle Tennessee was able to put up 21 against that elite defense, but they did. Obviously, it's the opener. People are still feeling stuff out. They won. Texas, they handled, Louisiana Tech, solid. I'm keeping Notre Dame at 7, assuming, they do beat Louisville. So, yeah. LSU, Joe Burrow, keeping them at number 6 with an opener, good win in their opener. And I'm pretty much just, keeping most of my top. I think my top 10 is actually pretty much the same because no teams really jumped out. No teams really versed any true tests yet. They were just kind of, gimme games, the opener, just kind of building confidence with teams and such. So, Oklahoma at number 5. They handled Houston. Jalen Hurts actually surprised me in this one. I thought, he wasn't going to be able to just kind of come on the scene and explode for Oklahoma. He did. He looks great. It is against Houston, though. I mean, he's not really going to get tested against any defenses, although, because it is the Big 12 until, playoff time if they do make the playoffs. But Jalen Hurts looks really, really well, although that Oklahoma defense, I still have, question marks around that. That defense was just a disgrace last year. I mean, it was awful, and they gave up 31 points to Houston. So it wasn't what really, if that defense is totally fixed, I don't think they would have, given up 31. It is only 1 year. They still, it's the first game. They need to make improvements still, but that defense is still a big red flag for me for Oklahoma. Number 4, I got Ohio State. They handled business against FAU. Justin Fields looks like he's got a lot of promise. That defense does look better. They got a test against Cincinnati, though, this week. Georgia, coming in at number 3, they handled business against Vanderbilt, although, Jake Fromm didn't do too much. I'm never really a sole believer of Jake Fromm. I don't believe why he's got all this hype around him. But, the Georgia is talented. They got Swift at running back. Their defense is stacked. Georgia is staying at number 3. Alabama coming in at number 2. Handled business against Duke. Looking like the good old Alabama, besides that first half. And then Clemson rounding it out at number 1, handling business against Georgia Tech. Although, Trevor Lawrence, not very impressive. I was not impressed by Trevor Lawrence at all. I was actually kind of laughing because I was like, he has 2 picks, only like 160 yards. Why is there all this hype around him? So Clemson, if Trevor Lawrence, the thing that makes Clemson number 1 is Trevor Lawrence, right? If Clemson keeps winning games and Trevor Lawrence keeps playing like, average, then I'll probably eventually move Alabama above them. But if Trevor Lawrence turns it on all of a sudden, then it's a no questions asked. Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, that duo is deadly. So, yep, that is my top 25 there for week 2. It's going to get messy again, I think, in week 3 here. And speaking